So, will 2025 be the year that bankrupt both Elon Musk and Tesla? That's the subject of today's video, and there's always some crazy drama going on with this guy and this company, and we have some more for you today. Look at this. Cybertruck blew up outside Trump's hotel in Las Vegas. You can see a picture there. Cybertruck's on fire right outside the lobby of the Trump hotel. I don't know. The reports doesn't say if it's on purpose or just a malfunction, slash by accident. I don't know. I'm sure we'll get more reports, in the next coming hours. This just happened just minutes ago. Also want to give you an update. It looks like one person has been killed and several people have been injured in the Cybertruck explosion. Elon Musk just put out a statement just 18 minutes ago. It says the whole Tesla senior team is investigating this matter right now. We'll post more information as soon as we learn anything. We've never seen anything like this. It's hard to say. One person saying maybe there were fireworks in the thing, but I don't know if anyone knows that necessarily is the case for sure. Again, a Cybertruck exploded outside the Trump hotel. No idea if there's any connection to the terrorist attack. There was a car that drove into a crowd of people in New Orleans also. So do be safe out there. And this is another picture of it from sort of a wider perspective. Again, this is a Cybertruck is on fire outside the Trump hotel. One thing I will say, though, is that I've seen a lot of footage of when these things catch on fire. They're actually really difficult to put out, and it may take hours because essentially the battery will burn. So there's that. I do know what is on purpose, though, is that Trump and his first buddy, Elon Musk, are partying again. This is for the new year. I guess they were dancing to the YMCA. Whenever that song comes on, they started dancing, and someone's always got a camera. So that's sort of been the viral video. It's only 4 seconds, though, so it's not much. But they're hanging out together. They did this before. And essentially, which I keep talking to you guys about, Musk, knows that Tesla is failing and essentially is looking for a way out and for some cover. So one of the big things that he wants right now is essentially hide crash data. And, who knows, maybe going forward, he'll want to hire any kind of fire data, meaning that, if his cars catch on fire or crash, that the government won't require any of data to show, and then they can basically pretend like their cars work fine. One of the things that is interesting about this stuff and sort of why we follow it, no matter what happens with Tesla or Elon, be it good or bad, all of his stock promoters and his loving fanboys and fangirls always act like everything is awesome and everything's great all the time. Let me show you a case in point. This just came out a couple days ago. So this woman bought a Cybertruck and she made a TikTok video. If you want to watch it, you can, but I'll just tell you the basic gist of it. She's like, hey, the Cybertruck's insurance is like crazy expensive. I think it's like $860 a month that she pays. And this was the headline here. It says, more than half of my mortgage is their Cybertruck insurance. And then she tries to make the case that even though she pays, over $800 for insurance a month, that's a month, that, hey, it saves her so much money on gas. So, because, you just charge with electricity. So I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on that if you want to pay $800 a month for a Cybertruck that could possibly explode. So just be careful with that kind of stuff. Also, and this is the sort of the news of the day. I guess there was a rumor that, and I've talked about this before, there was a rumor that the Tesla stock promoters were putting out there that the Cybertruck was going to go to China. I actually made a video about this, 2 weeks ago, because the basic gist of the video was I was telling you guys that why would you make a Cybertruck that can't sell everywhere? Basically, at the moment, I think it can only sell in Canada and in the USA because it's just not approved in most countries. It's just an unsafe vehicle. Just the design, etc. And it has, there's a lot of regulations in other countries. Even Elon Musk himself said getting Cybertruck road legal in China would be difficult, but we could ship some prototypes over for display. And then the basic idea was, I was telling you guys that essentially what the Cybertruck demonstrates is that Elon Musk, when he takes full control of a product, because that's essentially, this is his baby, the Cybertruck, is a miserable failure. So essentially all of the success on Tesla essentially due to other people, not because of Elon Musk, but because of despite Elon Musk. So again, this is the kind of stuff to where the fanboys and fangirls always find some sort of way to spin it. And so what they would do, they would promote and say, oh guys, Cybertruck's coming to China. China just made an official statement, Tesla China, and said, no, those rumors are false. And we have more bubble popping news for Tesla. Essentially, they're going to deliver, they're going to announce their delivery numbers. I guess it's coming out tomorrow. And essentially what's probably going to show, and this is rumor on the street, and we don't know for sure, but it's probably going to show they may have less deliveries than last year, maybe be flat, maybe a little bit up. But it's going to be a far cry when, Tesla's saying, hey guys, we're going to do like 50% gain every single year. Because early on in the company, it seemed like that, right? Because when you make one car, 1 year, the next car you make 2, oh my God, you double. And the next car you make, 4, oh my God, double again. Next year you make 8, oh my God, double again. But as numbers get bigger, it's harder and harder to maintain those crazy growth rates. And in fact, they may go in decline. Now, this is actually, which is really interesting, coincides with our market as a whole. So we're looking at, when will the bubble pop in Tesla and when will the bubble pop in the market? And so you'll get these kind of headlines this week. How to prepare for the lost decade in stocks. This can refer to the period, say, when Japan bubble popped, when this market was basically flat for a decade. Will that happen to the American stocks? You could also argue, what happened after the dot-com bubble in the USA, right? So a lot of things skyrocket to the moon because we all thought the internet was going to be the best thing ever, which actually, to be frank, it was. The internet is awesome, but it doesn't necessarily mean that every single company in the world is going to be a success off of that. If you remember the early internet days, be it the browser wars or which computer company was going to make the best chips, et cetera, who was going to be the backbone of the internet. A lot of companies, or who's going to be the financial, companies of the internet, a lot of companies were fighting over this stuff, and a few remained, and a lot of them disappeared. And even the ones that remained, even during the dot-com bubble, they were grossly overvalued, right? So meaning people picked the right companies, but they overpaid for them, and they never came back. And so this is sort of why I show you guys this kind of data, because all these people out there thought that Tesla was going to, dominate the market and be the most popular car company in the whole world, and it's going to be so awesome. And there is a different discrepancy, because I'll just tell you the truth. The stock has done very, very well for Tesla this year, but it doesn't really match like their actual performance of the real world. So if you take a look at this is a Tesla stock, or I could say car deliveries. This little blue box here on the right, that's the amount of deliveries they need to essentially beat the number of deliveries last year. Now, if you look at this, and so again, this is by quarter. You can also look at this as well. This is deliveries over the years. So again, in the beginning, right, Tesla's growth rates, the amount of deliveries, was going pretty well. But it appears that they've peaked in 2023 and may have a bit of a dip in 2024. And this is going to be the interesting thing to watch. Can Tesla keep sales as Elon Musk continues to piss off more and more people? And that's what we're watching. So my bet is maybe they're going to be flat, or maybe a little bit under, maybe a little bit over, theoretically possible. The thing, though, that they're not telling you, right, that we're focusing on Tesla deliveries, but we're not talking about profits, right? So that's the thing that really stood out to me. It was like, okay, let's say their deliveries decline and we're like getting killed on profits. How can Tesla possibly save the narrative? Well, that's why Elon Musk gets involved with politics, right? If my car company's failing, I'll just go into politics and get people's mind distracted, and essentially it just becomes a massive Ponzi, even more of a Ponzi than it already is. So that's what we're going to find out tomorrow. How will Tesla's deliveries come out? Another rumor on the street is that these official numbers coming from Tesla may show that BYD is in fact killing Tesla, which we kind of already see coming, but we'll get the official numbers tomorrow. BYD, if you don't know, is the Chinese electric car maker, and they've been doing really well in sales. I have not yet seen one yet for myself. They all arrive in Korea, I think, in a couple of weeks. So I'll try to make a video on that when we get a chance to see one. And I can tell you guys, it's real. The Korean car manufacturers are also good, be it Hyundai, be it Kia. And we watched a little bit of the New Year's celebration in New York City. And if you guys watched the ball drop, it was sponsored by Kia. My wife and I both saw it. And she's like, yeah, there's more than just Samsung when it comes to Korean companies. So for me, I think it's pretty obvious that Tesla's grossly overvalued. But that's what's so fascinating about this story, is that the bubble keeps getting bigger, even though the numbers show that, yes, it should pop one of these days. If you look at the PE ratio, so if you guys are new to stocks, It's basically what do you pay for a stock compared to how much a company earns is the ratio. You have like ratios in the 168, 162. That would be non-GAAP GAAP. It's like 110, or if you want to look at, either past or forward, 193. Basically ludicrously high numbers. And then these PEG numbers would suggest that Tesla is either grossly overvalued, anywhere from 20 times overvalued to maybe 6 times overvalued, something like that. So I'm just giving you guys rough estimates, but it's clear it's overvalued. If you want to look at quarterly statements, so the blue on the left is your revenue, the income's on your right. So you can see blue is going up and down there, but your income's not really changing that much. This is by year to year. You don't see crazy growth in your income, right? How much money you actually make. And so one of the things that Tesla and Elon's trying to do, he's trying to figure out a way to cut costs, right? To try to protect those margins. This story just came out recently. You can see the headlines here. Tesla replaced laid off workers with foreign workers using H-1B visas that Musk want to increase. And so this is a very sensitive topic for Elon Musk and Tesla. And what's interesting is that he partners with, Donald Trump, and Donald Trump runs on the anti-immigration platform. He runs on talking about Trump here, runs on a platform that says, hey, I'm going to give all you American jobs. I'm going to kick out all the brown people. That's basically the gist of it. And this is actually a pretty, how can I say, we'll say divisive report. And this is coming in from Tesla, that essentially you're firing a bunch of Americans and hiring a bunch of people from outside and paying them less. That's just what it boils down to. And Musk wants to even increase the number that his company can hire. So it literally flies in the face of the whole MAGA movement of, hire American, rebuild American factories, etc. Musk gets very sensitive on stuff. He'll just tell everyone F you, right? If you disagree with him, and he'll, go off on that. And there's been a long, how can I say, civil war going on on the right side about that kind of stuff. And this also feeds into the bubble, right? How long can this bubble last? Now, Musk is not alone, guys, in the bubble. And this is sort of why we talk about, say, decade of, a lost decade for stocks, is because there's more than just Musk in the bubble. You can talk about Michael Saylor. He's pumping Bitcoin all the time with MicroStrategy. This was a post that he put, a couple days ago. I'll read it here. It says, a strategic digital asset policy can strengthen the U.S. dollar, neutralize the national debt, and position America as the global leader in the 21st century digital economy, empowering millions of businesses, driving growth, and creating trillions of value. And this guy's a big Bitcoin pumper, basically. He was a pumper during the dot-com bubble as well, was charged with accounting fraud, ended up settling with the SEC. So that's the kind of a character that this person has. And this is the headlines coming out today. Preying on investors, how software firm MicroStrategy, and it's funny because I almost said Microsoft there, because they purposely named their company MicroStrategy to sort of make it feel like it's Microsoft. But the big bet on Bitcoin went stratospheric. So basically, this is a way to play leverage crypto. Musk is pumping this stuff all the time. And in the last video, I mentioned how the crypto stuff is related to the power and how it's all a big bubble. Here's the basic gist, guys. We have real power infrastructure problems around the country and around the world today. So, for example, Puerto Rico, they lost their power yesterday. They just got it back, I guess. It was some crazy number, like 98% of the people in Puerto Rico lost their power. So, like, a lot of people, or I mentioned before, in Texas, they have power problems, blackouts during the winter. And yet we're all talking about how awesome crypto is going to be, basically the digital Ponzi, which uses a lot of power. Or if you want to talk about, the AI stuff, which has been pumping the stock market the last, year, that also takes a lot of power. And so this is sort of why I say this is kind of, ridiculous when we don't have enough power to power people's homes, right? Like keep people warm. Or say, for example, in Europe, right? You guys know this, energy is expensive over there. You know that. And I'll leave the question to you. Do you want AI, right, to take all your power, or do you want to stay warm in your house? The decision is yours. I think it's a pretty easy choice. But that's where sort of this discrepancy that we're having in the markets these days. Let me show you another example of sort of, why we could potentially have a lost decade of stocks where the returns aren't so great. So I've seen different estimates, we'll say like from Goldman Sachs, et cetera, that say, hey, maybe going forward for the next 10 years will be like 3% a year or something like that. I'll give you the exact estimates that they give. This is, Goldman says investors should expect annualized returns of 3% or 1% after inflation. So basically beat inflation by just a little bit. That's coming from Goldman. Vanguard says U.S. stocks for the next decade will be 2.8 to 4.8%. And then JP Morgan's a little bit more optimistic, saying 5% a year. So I'm giving you just a sort of, gist of it. Because basically we've been on this crazy hype after COVID, right? And Tesla represents that the most, the crazy hype bubble. In fact, our stocks have gone up so much. This is some of our big tech stocks here. It's the chart: Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft, Alphabet, Amazon, Meta, Tesla, Broadcom. They've nearly doubled in this past year. And do you expect that kind of growth rate again? If you look at, any kind of metric of price to earnings, right? Again, it's how much we pay for stocks based on how much money they actually earn. We're grossly overvalued. We're at, getting pretty close to dot-com bubbles. If you look at the Shiller P ratio, I think it's like 38, something like that. And the highest it's ever been is 44. Basically really, really high. Okay. Our stocks are valued really, really high. We're paying too much for these things. And so the only way to really justify, the valuations going forward is, will these companies make oodles and oodles of cash, right? And there's a definite discrepancy in sort of the difference between what happens on Wall Street and what happens on Main Street. Basically, Wall Street sort of makes bets on the future. They make investments into, whatever companies they think are going to be the best. It ends up being a big Ponzi because, there's all this money flying around. And does it ever benefit the person on Main Street? That remains to be seen. The other issue is in the USA, much of our system, how we structure our retirement plans and things at your companies, like people keep throwing money into the market. Another way to keep, Tesla bubble afloat and all the, these big AI tech stocks afloat is if the Republicans figure out a way to privatize Social Security and then start taking your money and throwing it in the market, right? So they're coming up with all these ways to maintain those margins, be it with crypto, AI, or, paying workers less, these kind of things by firing Americans, hiring foreigners. And that's what it is. And so, guys, when we look at the news every single day, I want you to sort of put it all together with me as we go through this stuff and figure out, what is the truth. So, for example, this is the headline today: Alphabet slashes prices on large language models by up to 85%. What the heck? That's a lot. As China AI rivalry heats up. So it just shows, like, at the end of the day, yes, I can make all of these promises, but so can a lot of other companies, right? And yes, I can put out, whatever cool company or whatever cool chatbot, whatever cool product. But a lot of companies can try to do the same thing, and there's got this intense competition. And so this is what happens. You got to cut your prices, right? If quality is roughly the same. Tesla faced this. A lot of companies face this. Tesla's the one we talk about a lot because it's the biggest bubble out there, and Elon Musk essentially basing his net worth, his buying power is based on the stock that can go up and down in a heartbeat. And he basically takes out loans on said thing. And we're going to see what happens with this. It's absolutely insane. And then you get, like, say, a story today of, Cybertruck on fire outside a Trump hotel. What does it mean? I don't know. We're going to find out. And so that's why we watch this stuff together, because people always ask me, hey, Chris, is Tesla going to go bankrupt this year? Is Elon Musk going bankrupt this year? And I'll say this, they're definitely in a bubble. And Musk is desperately trying to save himself. and not only that, you just had the report just yesterday where, like, we talked about it, where, there's major national security firm questions with him and his companies. And someone asked a question of, like, hey, Chris, what are you talking about? He just sells cars. What's the national security? So I'll give you a couple examples. Literally, we're just seeing today, like, these things can catch on fire, be it on purpose or by accident. So just imagine if you had access, just for example, you had access to all the cameras and all the Teslas everywhere, right? Be it outside or inside. Think of all the data that is. You have location data, right? You'll know who's in these things, who's around these things. They can catch on fire really easily, as you guys can see. Also, Tesla, or I should say Elon Musk, not only owns Tesla, but he has SpaceX also, which puts up a whole bunch of spy satellites in the air, right? In the space. So there's all kinds of data going on with that. Right. And so who knows what stuff they see. And I guess, now that I'm thinking out loud, I guess this boils down to eyes everywhere, be it through the cars or through the satellites. And Elon Musk, the guy who's, rubbing up to Trump, also, getting close and cuddling up with Putin, getting close and cuddling and Putin in Russia, or cuddling up with Xi in China. That's the kind of dude. And it's like, okay. And this guy, does substances all the time. And he tweets out weird crap and he pumps up crypto, plays video games. Like, it's not really the person I want in charge of the world. That's just my opinion on these things. And that's why we track this stuff. Like, it just feels like we're living in this crazy alternate timeline, as people say. And I guess we need Loki to come in and try to save us with was it the TVA? So I'm referencing a TV show, Loki. If you haven't seen it, it's kind of a funny one. And the idea, or you could talk about any sort of time travel show where you try to go back in time and change history, and who knows, maybe that's what we're living through. But honestly, guys, it is wildly entertaining, wildly scary, and frankly dangerous. It's like all these things at the same time. And I do appreciate you watching. So thanks again for everyone for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next video.